Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel Curiosity Box, and this is an autism education video, and it's part of a larger event in the autistic community on social media. It is part of the hashtag Take the Mask Off event, and it's all about what is masking. There are 6 weeks of this event. Week 1 is 23rd to 29th of July, and the topic is what is masking, what it's like to wear the mask. Week 2, 30th to the 5th of August, 30th of July to the 5th of August, what is stimming, how is it related to masking? Week 3, 6th to 12th of August, how does masking affect mental health? Week 4, 13th to 19th of August, what is burnout? How is it connected to masking? Week 5, 20th to 26th of August, diagnosis, self-awareness. How does that impact masking? Week 6, 27th of August to the 2nd of September, coping strategies, what can help you not to mask, using it purposefully. And then the finale, 3rd to the 10th of September, how people have been affected by this event. So here is the chart with all the information on for you to look at if you'd like to pause the video and have a look at this chart. Here's the original chart and the plain text version. So this is, there's going to be loads of autistic people taking part in this event, so you can use the hashtag on Twitter and find lots of voices. So this is my video, week 1, what is masking. Now, I'm not the most fluent at explaining things and producing words, so I feel like I'm a bit like I'm not really an expert, because there's other people who can actually produce words and explain things in words. So I thought for this video I would illustrate some of my points with my webcomic. So there's going to be certain sort of comic strips from my webcomic that correspond with my speech. So I'll put them on the screen, so be ready on the pause button for it to read the webcomics, because there will be some that go along with what I'm saying. So, masking. I don't really understand masking myself, but I think my version of a definition is masking is what autistic people do when we know that we're not on a planet that is safe for us. So this planet is like a non-autistic planet, and everything that the workings of human life on this planet are focused and geared towards non-autistic people. And if you come across as different, you're othered, and it can be really unsafe. So putting the mask on is a technique to appear like you are part you are sort of on the standard conveyor belt of humanity, and that you fit in so you don't attract any unsafe violence or abuse. And so we cover up our natural instincts, sounds, reactions and movements so we don't get attacked. So there is a rambling version of what I think masking is. So I find it difficult to understand my own masking because ever since I was a baby, I've had selective mutism, literally ever since I was a baby. My first words. So Mum says that when I was a baby, they thought I just wouldn't. I didn't talk really. Like, you know, some babies say, well, my nieces start saying bye, and she says little cute words, but I didn't speak. And when I did finally speak, it was in a full sentence. And from then on, I spoke in full sentences, and Mum says it was like I was saving it all up. So I guess as a baby, I was processing everything internally in my head until I guess it logically felt like it would work. Obviously, I'm guessing because I don't know how I thought when I was a baby, but apparently my first sentence was to do with my brother who was being annoying. So I guess ever since I was a baby, I've processed things internally. That continued throughout my childhood, especially with play, and everything was internal. So and then I was baby for a while, and then I started nursery. Well, we had a false start. My mum took me to what she thought was a good nursery, and she dropped me off, and then she dropped me off and was stood by this sort of pillar in the room with all the other kids. And then she came back and I was still stood in the exact same place. And apparently I hadn't moved an inch. I'd just been absolutely frozen. And Mum was so furious that the caregivers, they hadn't checked on me or come and got me or anything. I was frozen by a pillar for the whole session. And here's one of my webcomics to illustrate that. So, and then I went to primary school, which was really scary. So it's hard to understand where the masking, I guess my masking is entangled with selective mutism. So it's really hard to find accurate definitions or strings of thought about masking specifically without it being part of selective mutism. So I start primary school, and there was for the majority of school, the teachers were terrifying because the headmaster, he shouted. Sensory overwhelm. I wasn't diagnosed as autistic until I was 34. So I was undiagnosed autistic. I didn't have a clue about sensory sensitivities, and none of the family understood any of this stuff at all. So I hated primary school for the majority of it because the teacher shouted, and you'd never know when there was going to be a shout. So I was on edge and anxious the majority of primary school. But I was also too scared to talk to my peers because they were scary, and I guess I've always been sort of obviously different and not like them. So I was the one who didn't get invited to birthday parties unless they were forced to invite me, that kind of thing. And I always felt like they had me under a microscope because they're like, and I didn't understand. So there was a lot of anxiety. There was one boy who I sort of could like a sticker, I sort of could slightly peel back a little corner of myself with, and I still wasn't loud, but he was the sort of class comedian, and I felt I could sort of open up and be comfortable, and he encouraged me, and he was really lovely and saw that I was a cool person to be around, and he was the best boy ever. And I remember one time I sort of could at least one time we had to use the library room, and we were doing a project where we had to make paper mache planets, and we were doing paper mache, and it was just me and one of the other pupils, and we started having a paper mache fight, and it just felt loose and free and everything, and that was really, really fun. And then when we used to play rounders one time, we were playing, and because I found running at speed very difficult, I was not coordinated my gross motor skills, but I could not deal with them at all. But he pretended that he was like a bull and he was chasing me, and he made things really fun, and it just made it so much. It just, but it didn't make like school like easy, but he had it was little sparks of joy that kept me going through the day. So he was brilliant. And then primary school got better when we changed head teachers, and in this teacher, he like trusted me, and he saw that I loved art, and he was kind, and he trusted me to he didn't, because one time we went to there was we're going, the teachers, he thought, oh, I'll take the kids to the leisure centre and we'll do basketball. I was like, no, but he let me stay behind and do some art, because we was like a religious school, and they needed like a banner finishing up for the church, so he let me stay behind and do colouring in, and I was trusted to just stay behind in the classroom on my own and do colouring on my own and do colouring in, and that was really cool. And he made it easier. But what helped me cope at school, as in the playground, I guess I did join in with a lot of the games like Red Raven, the skipping games. They was quite fun, and compass. So, but a lot of the time I was talking to. I had a special pebble in the wall, and here's the comic to illustrate that. and that was sort of like an anchor in the wall. And because I always visited it, because I had, even then, I had sort of weird sort of ideas about things and sort of weird sort of, sorry to say, and it's really hard to find PC words nowadays, like not saying weird and stuff, but I had these thoughts and sort of ideas about things. So I thought the pebble and it looked like a human thumb. So I just used to just look at this pebble as like so much like an actual human thumb. I just used to stroke this pebble. And I know that this is really difficult, but there was one in my life, there has been one thing that's helped me rip off the mask, is Chesney Hawkes, I Am the One and Only. Just, it's that song, it has a magic trick. That it comes on and I feel ready and yeah. And I remember singing it on the, because we went with the nice head teacher, we went on a school trip to Butlins for a week, and Chesney came on in the minibus, and I started singing along, and my classmates were like, whoa, and because I was actually being external and singing, and they were amazed. So and then we got to Butlins, and one time we went in a shop, and I bought a Dennis the Menace sherbet dipped up from the shop. I went and I gave the money. I went to the counter and gave the money over, and I was so proud of myself. So, Butlins, I was obviously trying really hard, but every night I was bursting into tears, wanting my mum every evening. At night time, I used to cry myself to sleep. So I was sort of like trying, and because this boy in my class was there, he helped a lot. And the funny thing about school trips is, there's been two major trips where I've been stayed away from home overnight with classmates, and one was Butlins when I was at primary school, and the other one was a college trip when I tried to do college again when I was about early 20s, trip to London. And in both of them, the memories of food, of meal times, and what the meal times happened at the meal times every day have vanished from my head. They're just like completely not there. So I just can't remember how I managed to consume food during those weeks, because it's just, they're just not there. It's like, how did I manage with the food? Those memories just don't appear. The visits to the different places, but no memories of food, which I don't really understand that. So I guess masking at school has been a lot of selective mutism as well, because um there was, I also found comfort in things at school, because there was our school playing field was amazing. I absolutely adored it, and here's a comic about the smell of the school playing field. As school playing field sort of joined on to this, there was a big fence, and behind this fence was a house, and it snaked down a path, and then you could see there was a house in the distance, and I thought it was so mysterious, and it had this big impact in my mind, and that was a big thing for me at primary school. And then there was also the shady tree. I don't know how masking relates to my primary school playground experiences, because I did join in a lot of the games, and I did sort of have fun with a lot of the games, but because I couldn't do, I always had difficulty with my gross motor skills. Sports has always been a real difficulty. So I've never been able to mask during sports. It's just, sorry, just knocked the table then. So that was my primary school experience, and then I moved on to high school, and I was a lot quieter at high school because it seemed even more unsafe, and there were more teachers that shouted, and there was teachers that, because my brother was like a couple of years ahead of me in school, they'd seen him and how confident he is and how loud he is, and the teachers like compared me to my brother and said, and like in a way that they were like disappointed in me, and there was a bit, well, there was a teacher who always picked on me, who just was always humiliating me and trying to sort of get me to be loud and just be external, and he wanted me to be like my brother and loud and everything, and every class with that teacher was horrid and a nightmare. But I had to go down a set, so it did mean I avoided that teacher. But when I learned that I had to go down a set in that subject, it was to a teacher that randomly shouted again. So I was absolutely devastated and scared, and I burst into tears knowing that there's like this teacher's reputation for randomly shouting. It's like, so my tip to modern day teachers today is don't shout ever, because it's the most anxiety inducing thing ever at school, is not knowing when a teacher would raise their voice. And then the opposite of that was, there was a teacher that just about every day of high school he'd wink at me, every day, and I sort of latched onto it a bit and deliberately made eye contact every day so I could get my daily wink from him. Is that, so a wink every day. And then one time I was like in the school holidays, is we'd been to France as we usually did, and I'd rode a camel because like there was like camel rides set, and I was like, oh, go on then. And then I was in the library at high school and was looking at books, and this teacher who used to wink at me, he came right out, stick his head face right near me, said, I heard what you rode a camel. It's like, okay. So there was a teacher who was very like affectionate, and then there was another teacher that sort of babied me, because so that was like weird, but they kind of made it school a bit easier, because at least there was somebody who gave me praise and affection. But obviously high school, then it was puberty, and it was that's when people started noticing that the people who hadn't been at primary school, the new people, started noticing that I wasn't I wasn't like sort of developing at the same rate as they were, like mentally, because they were all into makeup, and they started to notice that I wasn't doing the expected beauty things of somebody who was presenting as female. That I wasn't shaving my legs, or I didn't wear makeup, and they started to notice that. So it was like there was sort of, I didn't really give into it, because I didn't start like wearing loads of makeup or doing beauty regimes. The first like thing I did was like dye my hair black, so they all started calling me a goth. Which, so that was the first. So it wasn't like about being pretty, it was just an impulse, and it was just a thing I did, but it wasn't about looking for beauty at that point. Because when I wasn't at school, I used to wear these jumpers with this specific character on, and I used to just collect all the different colours of jumpers with that character on, because I thought it was awesome, and they pretty much were all I ever wear. And so I wasn't really masking out of school, and I was more aligned with mentally and emotionally with the first years, so I never really got on or understood my peer group, but I was very ruled by emotions and feelings, so I did chase the boys. I didn't understand how to be with boys, or how the other girls of my age got boyfriends or interacted with the boys. I just chased them, stuck my face near them, and I didn't really understand boundaries, so that was a very difficult time, and I just used to chase the boys loads, because I've never fit in. I've never felt that I fit in with neurotypical females of my age. It just is so like foreign to me. I've always had I've always felt more comfortable being comfortable like one of the lads, because there's no like rules about, oh, you've got to wear this lipstick, or you can't have your hair like that, or you got to wear this fashion. None of that. You just go like a bit. It's a bit Beavis and Butthead. You just when the lads, there's no like secret rules like there is with relating to females, or of the female sex. There's like there's all these hidden rules and things where you can't tell that person because they'll tell that person. and you cannot confide in that person because they're loyal to that person. There's none of that with boys. It was just ugh. So I always felt more comfortable like that. So there's a lot of trying not to step out of line at school and trying to avoid social pitfalls. So a lot of the time I used to just lash out physically and hit people because I didn't, because like how was I going to sort situations out with words? It just seemed impossible, so I just used to punch them because it was, and just physically fight and out the anger and the bad feelings. Because also when I in high school, like the sensory things, I thought that things were fixed. I never thought that I could had agency to change things. Like I never thought that I could tell my mum that I hated school. I never thought that I could say, because I had shoes, leather shoes, and in the summer they'd get really hot and they would hurt my feet. But I thought that was just, you just put up with it. I never felt that I had, and that I had a power to make changes, whether little things or big things. I just thought things were fixed and I just had to put up with it. But I never thought that I could like avoid this having to go to this school. I thought that's just how it is. So it was hard, and then the the first time I started doing more sort of feminine things was after leaving high school, and I got the Rachel haircut from Friends because I thought I just loved it, and I was starting to explore more feminine stuff. And then Clueless, the movie Clueless came out, and I thought, and she had that rotating wardrobe, and she wore little skirt suits, and we had to go back to high school for the record of achievement presentation. So I got this little pink skirt suit, and I got these patent Mary Jane shoes and white tights on because they looked like Cher from Clueless. So, and I go to this presentation, and the other girls had moved on to trying to be sexy and having the boobs like and wearing like sexy long dresses and stuff, and I was there in my little skirt suit, thinking at first thinking I was the bee's knees, but they'd moved on, so I was still behind emotionally in my development. And then college, sixth form, it was well, a sixth form the first year was okay because everything was small, and there was everything was small, and there was a routine of Monday mornings. First thing I had extra maths help with my maths class because I had to resit it, and then there was the English class, and there was a girl in that class who used to chat about the pop stars with and TV shows with, and then the psychology A-level class was that really dinky class, and it felt easier and more comfortable because there's only a few of us and they were nice. Then art class was my favourite art teacher ever, who I had the most amazing, huge crush on. And what I thought you did was to get his attention was I just wore as few clothes as possible. But if I show my body, he'll obviously fall in love with me. So obviously, in the winter I had bright rainbow jumpers because I love bright colours. But in the summer, to try and get his attention, I basically wore a tiniest miniskirt ever, bikini top, just basically going in like in a bikini to sixth form because I thought, oh, he'll magically fall in love with me if I show off my body. And obviously got stares from boys and stuff because I thought that's how you got boys, because just showing off as much, showing, being as naked as I could possibly get away with at sixth form, just to get, just because I fancied my art teacher because he was lovely and really encouraging. And in that time, I sort of stumbled into a friendship group at sixth form where we had the best tables, or I don't know if they were the best tables, but we had a set of tables that we always sat at, and whenever one of us in this friendship group got the first to the tables, we had to reserve all the seats for everybody else. So we were this big group. We used to play cards and stuff, and it was like I was in this group, but I didn't feel like I belonged in it. I sort of felt not like don't feel like I belonged in a way that it was loving and caring friendship. It was just like in this group, and we used to play cards and used to chat to the boys and stuff. And there was my the friend that I had at sixth form was this boy, and he was lovely. And so I guess over my education, I've graduated from having specific boys who have felt are the safe people, and but unfortunately, what I didn't understand was that because I was masking to some extent, as in, but I found it really difficult because because they called me crazy because I had a few more sort of ideas of things that I thought were real, and I used to talk about it, and I ended up being called crazy because I used to have these ideas about past lives and about aliens, and so I kind of spoke about my ideas and things what I thought I'd seen, and things I think some things got a bit mixed up in my head, and I started speaking about them, and they started calling me crazy because I didn't realize that if you start talking about these sort of delusional things, then people will think that's not of the norm, and you will be seen as different. I never really understood that. And then the second year of sixth form, everything changed. I got swallowed up in massive class sizes. My art teacher had just left with no notice whatsoever, and I just drowned in the second year of sixth form. Just drowned in numbers of people, and just ADHD, and that's what happened throughout my attempts at college, because after sixth form there was a bit of a break, and then eventually I tried another college which was more arty thing. I tried to do an arts and crafts course, but it wasn't popular, so the course closed. So I thought, oh well, I'll do this course, and it was really hard because there's nobody to advise me, because to think, and I was very impulsive, so I thought I'd do another course. But at this other college, there was a boy figure who I felt close to, and who made things I could like be myself in front of. But I just could not cope at all with that college either, so I dropped out of that college. And then I met my first boyfriend. Well, I I was had like a year or so like just being at home depressed, and then I was playing on the internet and found internet dating, and I found I was just browsing through the Excite singles ads, and I saw a boy with two cats. For boy with two cats, that's nice. So, and he looked quite good looking, so I messaged him, and we ended up being together for about nearly 10 years. So basically, through my life, if I've wanted something, I've attempted to just grab it. And that's probably not been the best approach to stuff. Because a bit of impulsive, like, I'm going to have that. Oh, and so, but in my 20s, it was difficult because I was menopausal, sort of, I couldn't really deal with my mental illness. But he had like geek friends, so it was easy to be alert with geeks. And I used to go to the comic shop and be just be with geeks. Like that, it was just that seemed to be, it was that a safe space, the comic shop, because geeks were different, and it was like fantasy and magical realism, and it was like a safe space because it was a geek space. But with my first boyfriend, I wasn't really, I still wasn't like out external. I still found it really difficult to be, to unmask and just be me. And even though it's a geek and nerdy environment, I still found it really difficult. And this is still dealing with the fact that I was falling in love with everybody. Because I've always done that. I've always like had crushes on tons of people at once. So, and so it's only in my 30s that I felt I can start to peel off my mask. And it's in my 30s where, even with my mum and dad, I felt that I've started to be external a lot more, and have noise and echolalia and body movements, and actually be external, because all my life, so before that, I everything was inside, and I'd read magazines and all this information, all this would go inside, get mixed up, and then to sort of be turbulently mixed up in my head, and I never expressed it. So I think that's possibly what led to my sort of meltdown of needing antidepressants, which I'll go further into that with in the mental health week topic. So, but in my because in my 20s, I suppose I found a lot of masked a lot more, because I used to go out and go to shops and things and actually go on the buzz. But now in my 30s, I just don't feel like I want to do that. And Mum says, oh, I've regressed because I don't go out much, or really go down the shops on my own, or go places on my own. Which I think is a bit harsh, because I just don't feel like I want to, because the world has got a lot scarier. But so that's my school life, and but also what has been a bit difficult throughout my life is family. My mum is one of 11 kids, so there's been loads of family, and there's often been family gatherings and loads of, but the thing is, they are in a hierarchy, and it's been really difficult understanding a huge big family and understanding the sort of hierarchy of my aunties and uncles, and hearing my mum talking to different aunties and uncles and gossiping. It's just always been confusing and stressful. And because my aunties and uncles are incredibly competitive, there's competition, and then there's like this uncle did this, then this auntie did this, and that auntie said this to this auntie, and that auntie said this to that auntie, and it's always been like a hierarchy, and it's always been really stressful, and I've never understood all the dynamics of the family. So, and I found most of Mum's side of the family, I've been selectively mute and found it really hard to just be myself. It's only now, in my 30s, that I'm starting to feel safer to sort of be myself. But that's more in front of my cousins. I started to feel maybe it's okay to, because I have some cousins who are the younger trendy crowd. I've started to feel maybe it's okay, but I'm still terrified of most of them. And I only have my one specific auntie who I've always been able to be myself around, and the rest of them have always been really terrifying and scary, because to be part of the group you have to be loud. But what has helped me is the fact that we are a family who adore quizzes. So there's always been, and people have realised that I'm good at quizzes and that I'm good at knowing facts and stuff. So that has helped me sort of integrate, in that they want to sort of, not in a bad way, but they sort of want to use me for my knowledge. so I'll get included for quizzes and winning things. But when it's just gossip, I feel like I'm on the outside, and it's felt and that I've always been pressured to I've always been pressured to, I guess, put a mask on and put a show on, but I've obviously just found that completely daunting and unable to do that, and that has got me into trouble, that fact that I couldn't just be a human being, like that I couldn't put a mask on and just act like one of the family. I was always on the outskirts, and I've always felt that really difficult. And then I've always felt like my self-esteem has always been low because I couldn't just go in and integrate myself. And mum's often saying, why can't, when I'm being loud and funny and making funny comments about soaps and whatever's on the telly, and when I'm singing and dancing, mum often says, why can't you be like this with everybody else? And it's so terrifying, because if I do my echolalia or my body movements, I've only recently started being comfortable enough to do my stimming, my hand stimming, in front of general family. It's just so hard that they will look at me weird, and that's why it's so scary. And there's certain, like my dad's best mate and one of my of relatives, but second, whatever, not immediate, but second there. There's only a couple of them that I've been able to start being loud, confident in front of, but still the only people who see me being full on me are mum, dad and my auntie, but mainly my cat. Because since I got cats, that's another thing, I've never been comfortable with pets until I got my cat. And now a cat who is just talking all the time, I can be myself with in front of my cat. And so I guess it's only in my 30s that I've started to peel back my mask, and more like a sticker, where you can peel a bit of a corner off, then peel a bit more off, then peel a bit more off. And even with romantic partners, I don't think I've fully unmasked. I've peeled a lot off, but I've never fully unmasked in front of romantic partners. But nowadays, with the help of the autistic community and the social media and being on YouTube, I've started to feel more comfortable with being myself and letting things out and letting things be external. Although even with YouTube, when I first started, it was a lot of it was beauty tutorials, because that's what the culture was of the part of YouTube I was watching, was beauty, even though I was rubbish at it. And then but I also integrated some of my comedy and my other interests, and then it was only after I got my antidepressants that I think that I started to feel more comfortable with being me. I still struggle a lot with mental health, and especially when it crops up unexpectedly, like it did in February this year. But I feel a lot more comfortable being me, but it's just really hard to deal with society's expectations. And society is like norms and things, but I find a lot of comfort with the geek crowd and people who are into Doctor Who and sci-fi and fantasy. I find that's a more comfortable area that you can be more yourself with. So that's my video for the first topic for the Take Your Mask Off event. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and please do visit the hashtag on Twitter. I'll put the details again in the below box, in the description box. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Yay!